Welcome back. Let's get to the exciting world of arts and culture. We're being joined on the program by the Director General of the National Gallery of Arts from our Abuja studio, Mr. Ahmed Sodanji. Mr. Sodanji, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning.
All right, one of the things we want to focus on is how we can use arts to drive national development. We are a country, we are still aspiring to be a nation in the strict sense of it. You're going to speak to that in a moment, but we would like you to give us, since assumption of office, what your remarks will be and an overview of the state of our galleries across the country. Because when I look at things like Met Gala, for instance, I think of what we can do to replicate that, to even promote some of our arts and our culture in the country.
All right, well, thank you so much for having me, and good morning once again. Well, like you said, over the past year, since we assumed office, from the National Gallery of Arts point of view, what we've looked at is to see the position of the National Gallery, what it means and what it entails to the art community and the ecosystem. Like you rightly said, we have a lot of galleries all over that are flourishing, and that means to tell you the art conversation is happening, and a lot of people are now being more awakened and now being in tuned to the art world. And then what that does in terms of the National Gallery is gives us a clear position and see how we could improve and bring about the conversation and look at art as a means of national development, as a means of cultural advantage, cultural diplomacy, and how we can spread in terms of our reach.
So talk to us about how the gallery itself, the National Gallery of Art, is grafting into the policy direction of the broad ministry, I think Ministry of Art, Culture, Tourism, and Creative Economy, led by that minister who has come up with all kinds of innovation. Whether it's going to see the light of day is what everybody's praying, because they are quite ambitious. When you look at the arts and the art gallery in that sense in the country, it's almost like an exclusive preserve of, generally, when you talk about art, it's literally an exclusive preserve of the elites in that sense. But we'll try to make it accessible to as many people as possible. So my question is, from the policy statement and policy direction of the ministry that you're under, how have you grafted your area into that ministry, and what exactly are these policy direction in the nearest future?
All right, to answer your question, let me first of all give you a brief overview of the ministry and the agencies under the ministry. This is the first time we're having a Ministry of Art, Culture, Tourism, and the Creative Economy. So I believe under the wisdom of His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, creating this ministry serves as a repository for all creatives and how we can harness the creative economy. For us, under the Ministry of Arts, Culture, and the Creative Economy, under the able leadership of our Honorable Minister, like you rightly said, you've seen so many policy directions, so many innovations, so many puzzles picking up at once. And this is because the creative economy has been happening even before the government decided to bring up the creative economy and the Ministry of Arts and Culture as a standalone ministry. So what we can do as government is to see how we can leverage on the already existing economy. And by doing so, you have to look at how you position yourself, how you can interface, how you can interact in such a way that the creative economy is receptive to policies in government. Because if the economy is happening and there's no clear direction in terms of policy, we cannot really, record and see the actual contribution of the creative economy to the GDP. Let's take, for instance, the National Gallery of Art. How we are aligning with the policy of the ministry is, first of all, looking at ourselves as an agency, what we mean to the art system, and where we hope to be. So in doing so, we looked at the agenda of the President, the Renewed Hope agenda. We looked at the 8-point agenda of the Honorable Minister and see how we can also benefit from it, because it is now left for us to take advantage of the opportunity. We looked at what we do, and we came up with 4 strategic pillars. First and foremost is the policy review, looking at the enabling act of the NGA itself, seeing that we were established in 1993 and fast forward to 2025, policies, directions, the art conversation has changed. So we're looking at how we can now position ourselves in such a way that we're going to be the foremost institution of art in the country. We're looking at fundraisers and collaborations because, like you know, the creative economy, particularly the arts, cannot flourish without collaborations, partnerships with the private sector, organizations, banks, media, and all those things. We looked at internal reforms, how we can, within ourselves as an agency, how we can look at training, retraining, looking at global best practices on how we can do our day-to-day mandate. And lastly is one of our flagship programs that we introduced, which is the National Art Renaissance Program, where we looked at the National Collection. The National Gallery of Art is the custodian of the National Collection. The National Collection is artworks that were bought with public funds that are held in trust on behalf of the country, and see how we can now reposition ourselves. Unfortunately, we do not have a National Gallery edifice, and these artworks have been in storage for a very long time. So what we've done is to see how we can, first and foremost, take a proper valuation of the National Collection. Let us know the true worth of our artistic assets, and also see how we can digitally catalog it and restore some of these artworks. I believe by doing so, it gives advantage and it gives value to Nigerian artists and also artworks, because Nigerian artworks are one of the most sought after artworks in the world. So what we need to do internally is to see how we can create value around it and look at all the value chain. So this is some of the things the National Gallery has been concentrating on, and to see how we can leverage with the already existing creative economy and bring out incentives that artists can recognize and key into.
Let me just quickly follow up on your work on the art collection, but I'll put it in context. Prior to your assumption of office, some of the concerns raised about the National Gallery of Art was the state of the Nigerian collection itself. Over 3,000 of them, I believe, are said to not have proper storage facility, and in fact, some of them had begun to flake. Besides other concerns about, the gallery itself losing its vibrance. We'll talk about all the other concerns. But in the meantime, what intervention is being provided to provide proper storage for the national collection?
Yes, like you said, one of the major issues we have under the ministry across board is the lack of proper infrastructure. Because some of the infrastructures we've inherited have been there for years and not very well managed. And so with the National Collection, what we did is we looked at the storage facility. First and foremost, that was why I spoke about the National Art Renaissance Program, because it speaks to the National Collection. Because we have to, first of all, restore, catalog, and value the National Collection. So in preserving these artworks, what we're doing currently in our outstation in the Lagos office is we've partnered with Goethe Institute, Museum of West African Arts, Julius Berger, and now Federal Ministry of Finance Incorporated. The partnership with Goethe Institute is, first and foremost, they're going to help revamp the storage facility while we take a condition assessment of all the artworks and have a proper digital inventory of the artworks. And Museum of West African Arts have graciously come in to help in conservation and training of our staff and conserving some of the artworks. And Julius Berger has magnanimously donated some containers to temporarily store those artworks while work is ongoing on the digital archiving, and while we commence work on the maintenance and the refurbishing of the storage facility. So these are some of the initiatives we've keyed into to see how we can, as quickly as possible, make sure these national assets are in very good and mint condition, while we also look at valuation. This is the partnership with Federal Ministry of Finance Incorporated in collaboration with the Ministry of Arts, Culture and the Creative Economy. We've signed an MOU because we need to have a holistic approach to see what value it is attached to the assets under the Federal Ministry of Arts, Culture, Tourism and the Creative Economy. So in terms of the storage facility, work is ongoing now, and I assure you before the end of the year, we're going to finish with those works, our storage facilities are going to be apt and in good condition. The artworks are going to be in mint condition.
Right.
And while we await the valuation of the national collection.
Right. Just looking through your bio, your antecedents, and seeing the experience you've had from aviation, to the bank of industry, I want to know how you bring all of this to bear, or how you are already, perhaps you are doing that, particularly to retrieve stolen art, artifacts, and the rest, because we have lots of them. I'm sure we've even lost count, scattered across the world, London, Netherlands. Some have been returned, but some will say a lot more are out there. So is that something you're working on? How are you bringing to bear your skills to ensure that some of these things return home and, yes, they're stored well, preserved well, which you've spoken to already?
Well, yeah, looking at my background and the position I'm at today, one thing that I know very well is value and value addition. Looking at the work we've done in the Bank of Industry, I was a project officer for a long time. And the experiences in terms of how you identify value in creating value creation, value addition is what we're bringing to the fold. Because we look at the creative industry, and I believe the National Gallery of Art plays a very pivotal role in this position. Because one of the two key areas that is required for the ministry is economic development and job creation. And I believe the National Gallery of Art is strategically placed there because you have to look at the value chain. Looking at all of the agencies under the ministry, you will find out that the National Gallery of Art is the one that has most of the value chains of art. And for me, I look at value addition. And then what is the value? The value is the artworks. So one thing we can do is to improve on the value of those artworks. Like I said earlier, Nigerian art is one of the most sought after arts in the world. We have examples of masters that are internationally renowned art masters that are Nigerian that have sold art worth millions and billions of naira. And this is something we would like to replicate at the national level. And in the National Gallery of Art, well, that's why we're trying to reposition ourselves to be that foremost institution where every artist's hope is to have his artwork exhibited in the national collection. Every artist's dream is to have him exhibited by the National Gallery of Art. So one of the strategies that we're looking at is to see how we can first and foremost document this artist, give out certifications, because I believe any artwork that has a proper documentation carries value. So what that does, it gives it a base value for your artwork. And also one of the things we're going to start doing is start issuing out art travel permits so that any artwork that leaves the shores of the country will be documented, and that helps us to establish provenance. So I believe these are the small incentives that the National Gallery is already, these are ongoing, and very soon we're going to roll out these initiatives through our website, and so I urge people to stay tuned and key in. And speaking to our lost artworks and artifacts, well, you know, there's another agency under the Ministry of Arts and Culture, National Commission for Museum and Monuments, that handles the repatriation of our stolen artifacts. We handle the modern and contemporary art, and this is the purview of the National Gallery.
Well, let's talk more about the vibrance of the National Gallery of Art as a platform, to convening, innovators and artists of the creative economy. Many refer to the days of lost glory of the Art Expo and the other programs under the National Gallery of Art. The question is, what budget is available to the National Gallery of Art to restore this vibrance such that, these innovators are converged under that age-long vibrance, and again, to take advantage of new innovations, in this regime of creativity?
Well, yeah, I agree with you. Some of the flagship programs of the National Gallery has slowed down a bit, largely due to funding. And this, I believe, over the last year, we've seen some significant improvement, particularly in the art scene, because you have a lot going on in the ecosystem. So what we now need to do is to see how we can partner, because very importantly, I believe the funding for this sector is through partnerships. Government has done an excellent job now with the creation of this ministry. So that is to tell you that there's a clear and deliberate approach and attention on it, because the creative economy, I beg your pardon, has the ability to, of course, create jobs and also add to the GDP like we've seen in other countries. Some of the flagship programs like the Art Expo, just I think yesterday actually, the National Gallery closed the 3rd edition of the International Art Expo. These were flagship programs that were the talk of the town in the booming years of the National Gallery. But like I said, due to funding, it has slowly died down. But this is due to the fact that there are so many activities and so many approaches as at today that I think we believe we need to capture. And this has to be an innovative way of thinking. And we're trying to see how we can bring it back with a twist to it. Because now more than ever, the attention is here. What we need to do is just to take advantage of those attentions and try as much as possible to amplify them. Funding has always been an issue, and we can see the efforts of the Honorable Minister. Just, I think last month, the ministry launched the Creative Economy Development Fund, which gives creatives access to finance to help start up and build their business, because we have to look at the art. We have to look at the art scene as an art business, because that's one of the things that has been neglected over the years, and this has been the gap that has happened, and why there's no much attention in the creative economy.
All right, as we need to wind down, I can't take my mind off. I can't take my mind off Met Gala. It's a convergence of arts and costume and fashion and all of that, I think, done by Vogue. So are you thinking about it in that direction in terms of bringing the collectives within the fashion industry to amplify our art? And put up something like, the closest we see around Nigeria is around the AMVCA, their culture night or traditional night. But that's another aspect that we're not exploring, to have something on our creative economy calendar to drive traffic to some of the arts we're talking about. Are you thinking in that direction?
No, I think, well, you're right, and I think it's kind of already happening, because the AMVCA just finished and the Honorable Minister was there in attendance, and you could see, like you said, the convergence of art, fashion, culture happening there. So I think what needs to happen is to have more of this events.
No, Mr. Ahmed, my
apologies.
If you can hear me, I'm saying, just like we have the Met Gala, for instance, that's AMVCA done by a private organization and all of that. I'm talking about for your gallery. You are in charge of the gallery in that sense. Something that brings that collective to the gallery to say, okay, let's use fashion as a route to see what we have on offer in our gallery. It's going to be a great idea, don't you think?
No, absolutely, I agree with you. And actually, this year, in our line of programs, we have some programs that actually have that kind of collaboration. And because we believe, like I said earlier, collaboration is the way forward. And as the custodians of the creative spirits of the creative economy, we need to have that synergy with fashion, with food and whatnot. So we have 2 or 3 programs that are coming up this year that will feed to what you're talking about. And this is going to be like a continuous program where we're going to, of course, continue the conversation of art, fashion, and then where it could actually be that sort of event.
Well, thank you so much. The reason why we had to have this conversation, Mr. Sodanji, is because we want to see how we can use art for national development and unity. This is the part where we don't have a conversation around which political party you belong, which region you come from. Is a unifying point. That's why it's quite important, the role you play for the government. DG National Gallery of Arts, Ahmed Sodanji, joining us from our Abuja studios. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you so much for having me.
All right, we'll take a quick break now. When we come back, we'll get to the very last leg of the conversation to an exceptional person in our Diaspora Connect. Join us again.